Have you ever made a character in D&D, art, or legit anything creative where you spend tons and tons of time designing them, fleshing out their story, and then design them just for literally no one to care about them? I mean, like, you spend hours and hours coming up with them just to have them fall flat. I've done this a lot. In fact, I have 214 characters on D&D Beyond. And that's after I deleted about 80 of them. It's bad. However, as I transitioned into being a professional DM and getting paid to play Dungeons & Dragons and live shows and more over the years, I figured out a couple of ways to truly make characters stand out. I wanted to make this quick little video so you can learn the lessons without gaining the scar, just to help you out. So with that out of the way, I got 3 things I learned, so let's begin. Lesson 1. Simplicity is memorable. In character design, the simpler a character is to understand the basic concepts of, the more memorable they are. Let's do an exercise to prove this. If I say Italian plumber with a mustache and a red hat in overalls that goes Yahoo! The chances are you think of Mario. If I say a pink adorable sphere with red shoes, a hammer, and wants to inhale literally everything and rides on stars, you might think of Kirby. For the last example, if I say a crazy detective who wears all black, who knows 100 ways to kick your ass and is obsessed with bats, then you'll probably think of Batman.
I'm vengeance.
However, if I say they're a Nigerian cyberpunk cyborg vampire who is a samurai who also has tied up dreadlocks and is very tall and muscular, who also transform when they throw out too many of their abilities, into a bloodlust who is also in love with their tags and belts. Unless you've played Guilty Gear Strive and are used to that, you probably have no freaking clue that I'm talking about Nago Ryuki. Now, that's not to say Nago's design is bad, it's actually really good in the context of Guilty Gear. And this may be a bit confusing, which is natural, because character design, well, it's complicated. But to make things simple, focus on just this one thing. Simplicity means memorable. I learned the less things that I have for a character, the more memorable and digestible they are for other people to understand and remember all of their aspects. And just because I have less doesn't mean they have to be generic or uninteresting. We'll talk about how we can make these things more interesting with less things in number 2. But to emphasize the point, if I think of a concept of a person who fights with a literal flag and is very majestic in their style, and the design revolves around it, it might be easier to recognize the silhouette, and it'll be easier for people to visualize who they are and what they're about with less information. And again, we can make them more nuanced later, but right now we want to keep it simple. What I do is I pick around 2 things about my character and I use that as a basis for every design decision afterwards. To help you out, if you're struggling, I typically decide what's one major thing about their appearance and what's one major thing about what they do. So what do they look like and what do they do? My character looks like a pirate and they're a nerdy mage. Pirate is what they look like, nerdy mage is what they do. They cast magic. That's it. If all else fails, if I roleplay them as a nerd and describe their pirate aesthetic, I might be good to have a memorable character. But now that we have something simple, we need to make sure you're actually interested in, playing it. And also that other people are kind of interested in playing with them. Which leads us to number 2, the power of why. If there's one question that can get my brain really turning, whether it's world building, character design, theory crafting, or whatever, it's the word why. We can use this one question and keep asking it until we get exactly what we want. Let's try it with my character Jacob. Why is he a pirate? Well, Jacob wasn't originally a pirate, he actually became a pirate to run away from something. Why did he run away? Well, he made a mistake and stole an artifact. Well, why? Because he got really curious with powerful magic in general. Well, why? Well, because he wants to be a great mage like his teacher. Why? So we can keep asking this question, why, over and over and over again, and the more we do it, the more fleshed out the character gets in literal second. I use why in my world building as well. Why is there a mountain valley in this world? Because 2 giants clashed here in the wake of their battle. A giant sword split the valley in half to make it what it is today. Well, why did this happen? Well, one of the giants was distracted by this strange jolt of the arcane in the distance. Why? Because it looked dangerous and he feared for his kin's life in that split second, causing him to miss his opposing giant enemy. With just asking why, we know that 1, giants were fighting about something, 2, there are multiple giants and they have family, and 3, there was a powerful enough jolt in the arcane that caused even a giant to grow scared. We have 3 new things that we can flesh out and make either a really big deal or just keep them small. And we can do that by just asking why. But Why would we ask why, Sensei? Well, we ask why to make the character more interesting for us to play. It can make them more interesting for others to learn about, sure, but in order to get people interested to begin with, we need to do something else. We need more, which will lead us to number 3. But before we do that, look y'all, I make these videos to kind of make D&D interesting or fun to learn about, to help tons of other people trying to get into the hobby. Character creation is the thing that I fell in love with when it came to D&D, and I want others to fall in love with it too. If you enjoyed anything in this video thus far, or if you just want to help others get into D&D or TTRPGs, hit the like button. All right, lesson number 3. This is what I learned. Give them a flaw, roleplay the flaw, and overcome said flaw. Flaws are what humanize and characterize our characters. In real life, we have lots of flaws. And with these flaws, we can relate to our characters as we empathize with them, or we just show that they're not perfect and also similar to humans. Flaws can be mental, physical, emotional, and more. Let's look at Jacob to see what type of flaws I gave him. I made Jacob very much terrified of everything and not too understanding of social cues. I intended for him to overcome this and be the opposite at the very end, where he isn't afraid of anything and he's actually charismatic, hence why I made him a sorcerer instead of a wizard. Another flaw is Jacob is actually crippled. He needs his cane to get around everywhere and needs others to give him lifts to places as he can't feel the entire right side of his body due to the arcane accident. I have him overcoming this by him getting more connected with his sorcerer's powers, breathing life back into his limbs over time. So what we start with is the classic nerdy underdog story, and the entire journey of the campaign is how he develops into a Giga Chad who helps other nerds who are just like him. Does this sound familiar? Mine is the Giga Chad part. I mean, unless. So I'm so fucking terrible. I'm so sorry. You have to edit this. Oh my god. Okay, jokes aside, I know I said 3 tips, but here's a bonus lesson I learned. The people I enjoy playing the most are the ones that have a piece of me in them. The ones who I can relate with enough so it's easier for me to roleplay them. I have tons and tons of more tips, so if you want to see me make a follow-up video where I deep dive into how to make a character you'll never get bored of in a campaign, well, hey, if this video gets 300 likes, I'll do it. Want to know what you can also do to not get bored? You can join Project Aura and play D&D with me. It's a giant D&D MMORPG with dozens of players, dozens of staff members who I pay to make your D&D experience the best it can possibly be. I connect you with like-minded individuals, give you merch, give you art of your sick new character, and give you access to a community of people who actually want to make friends. So if that sounds interesting to you, go to the description of this video and join the Discord. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.